And he said, you old men, you've never heard anything like this. It never happened in your day. And your father never told you anything about this, or your father's father, your grandfather didn't. And then he says, you can tell this to your children, because they're not going to see anything like this again in the future. Now, this plague stands alone as being different than any other plague that took place. Now, the plague of locusts in the land of Egypt was actually a miraculous plague, I believe. God's judgments there. This is what man would call today just that which is natural. That is, it just took place. Actually, I do not consider it even here a judgment of God upon the people, although it was used as that. And I believe that it being unique was, in that sense, a judgment from God. Now he's going to speak of this locust plague. And there's several things that we need to recognize about the locust. We don't know too much about them here. I know as a boy, I always enjoyed on a summer evening lying on my bed before an open window and looking into the locusts in the trees. But they never were a plague, and they probably were not the same kind of a locust that you have in Bible times or you have over there today. Now, I have before me an article that appeared in the National Geographic several years ago, and it tells about a plague of locusts in Africa. And they show pictures of the locusts and what happened a field before and a field afterward, and they absolutely had a scorched earth policy. It was just as if a fire had burned over the field and destroyed everything. And speaking of this one, they have by a picture this explanation: battle is lost, but the loser fights on. Master Raja Jemi, an Ethiopian farmer, watched the locusts devouring his millet crop. Only a few kernels remain on the seed stalks. Stalks and leaves go next. In 1958, Ethiopia alone lost 167,000 tons of grain, enough to feed more than 1 million of our people for a year, and all by a locust plague. He's going now to describe this locust plague for us. And there's some things about a locust plague that I think we need to keep in mind, and the Word of God has something to say about the locust. I'm not going to turn, there are many passages on it, but Proverbs 30:27 has this very interesting piece of information. The locusts have no king, yet go they forth, all of them by bands. Now they march as an army, and they're divided into different bands as they go along. Now that's going to explain something to us now when we come to verse 4. Now, will you notice what it says? That which the palmer worm hath left hath the locust eaten, and that which the locust hath left hath the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm hath left hath the caterpillar eaten. Now, these are different words, it's true, and there are those that believe that it refers to different types of insects. But there's no basis really for that. The palmer worm actually means to gnaw off. And the word locust here, arbade, it means that there are many of them, like an army, and they're migratory. They move as a great swarm. And then the cankerworm means just to lick off. And the caterpillar means to devour or to consume. So that you have 4 words that describe the locust and what he does. Now, he goes forth, the psalmist says, in bands, just like an army. First of all, there are the planes that come over and drop the bombs. And that first onslaught of the locusts, they come through the air, and they actually denude a tree in just a matter of minutes. And then after the bombs have been dropped by the Air Corps, then the artillery comes through, and it destroys every section and leaves great areas devastated. But there's still a lot left. Now the infantry comes along. That's the third group, and they get what has been left. And then you have the mop-up crew that follows after that. And if there's anything left, they're going to get it. And I would say they get less than anyone else, and many of them drop by the wayside. So what you actually have here, you have 4 words that describe the different bands of the locusts, and that they come just like an army. They have no general, they have no king, they have no lieutenants or sergeants, but they move just like an army. And back, well, for 250 years, the island of Cyprus was stripped by locusts. Now, actually, the Israelite was permitted to eat locusts. Back in, I'm not going to turn to the passage, but back in Leviticus 11:22, and they were sent as a judgment from God. But we would put this one in the category of a natural one, and there's nothing like it that they had ever had. I think it was not necessarily a judgment, but a warning to the people. It was a warning to the nation. This is your first writing prophet, the time of Elijah, and Elijah was warning the northern kingdom. And now this man, in a most dramatic manner, Joel is warning the southern